Welcome guys to the fourth video of the spending tracker app playlist. In this video, we'll continue building our spending overview screen. So in the previous video, we built its view model and some logic of it and also the top bar. Now we're going to create the items, so the spending items, and then also the date picker, which is a drop-down menu. So let's see that. So this is the app that we are trying to build. So far we did a lot, but in this video we build this list of items that is a lazy common, and then also this date picker in which we can pick a date and see the items that we bought in that specific date. So let's see our app. Here it is. As you can see, we have the top bar, we have the balance screen in which we can add some balance like 100, but then we don't have any items yet, which is what we are going to do. And also we are going to create the date picker. And I just want to tell you that if you are enjoying this tutorial so far, then you'll like my premium course in which you can build an industry level Android app using all these technologies, all these skills like clean architecture, Jetpack Compose, and even building a Ktor backend. So you know how to combine and use and structure a really solid app from the ground up, and that will take your skills to the next level in Android development. You can find the link in the description to learn more. So let's go to our screen overview package, which is this one, or spending overview package in the presentation in the screen. So right here, let me just expand this a little bit right here. And we have a scaffold, which is this one, in which we have a top bar, but then down here, we need to create our items. But before that, let's first create our date picker, which is going to be part of the top bar. So here's our top bar, which is in a different composable function. It's this one. Now I'll go in there, and we're going to put everything inside a column since we want the date picker. Here it is, we want the date picker to be below the top bar itself, but also part of the top bar. Of course, also when we scroll the top bar, only the part in which we see the balance disappears, and if we scroll down just a little bit, it appears, but then the date picker will always remain there so that we can change the date all the time, and then we can also see what date it is even if we scroll. So as I said, everything will be inside the column. Below this top bar, we will have a spacer that has a height 8.dp like this, and then below it we'll create our date picker. So we can just call it date picker. Actually, maybe we already have some date picker from Compose, so I'm probably going to name it date picker drop down menu so that it doesn't conflict with the pre-existing one. So let's go down here, maybe above our top bar or below it. Let's create a composable date picker like this that will take a modifier and more things. It will take the state, so state of type spending overview state, and then a lambda function when we click on a menu item. So on item, for example, click, we need just the position or the index of that item. We can now go back to where we called it and then pass the things we need, which are first of all the modifier. Let's put the modifier as the last one. We just need the state first, that is our state, and then on item click, that gives us of course an index like this of the item, and then we want to use our own action, spending overview action dot on date change, which means we just selected a new date, we pass the index of the new date. And remember, let's go to our view model to actually understand the logic, what's going on in here. So what are these dates and where are they coming from? In our state right here, we have a list of dates. As you can see, dates list, which is of type zone datetime, and these dates are what we get from the repository of our data layer. We just get all the dates in which we created the items that we have in our app. In a way, we get those dates right here. As you can see here, they are, and then in our app, all those dates will be inside this drop-down menu. So, and simply when we pick a new date, we pass the index of the date that we selected so that we change this one, which is picked date. Initially, it's last or no, which is the last date we created an item in. If we don't have any last date, then we just assign it to be now, which is today's date. Now we just pass the index of the date that we picked. Just like that, we then need to pass a modifier. So modifier, just some padding right here of, let's say 22.dp, probably even 24, I guess that will be better. So just from the start here, we want to push it by 24 dp. We can then go and get started with it. So it's just a drop down menu, which means we need to know, is it open or not? So var is, we can put this in the state, but I think it's not that important. We can just use remember, or even use remember savable that it actually survives configuration changes. So let's just import this and import again, and again. So that's the is expanded for the drop down menu. We need to put everything inside the box, and we will see why. This box will take the modifier that we passed, and then we give it some shadow. So the elevation is going to be 0.5.dp, and then the shape of it is going to be rounded corner shape of 16.dp. So as you can see here, we just have some little bit of elevation or shadow in the drop down menu. So we have that inside this box, and then we can now create our, you guys say, drop down menu. Format this like this because I don't think it looks good. Of course, expanded is expanded on this mess request. That is going to be is expanded equals to false, which means it's just no longer expanded. We want to also give it a modifier dot height in max is going to be 440.dp, which means the maximum height of this drop down menu, because if we have so many items it will be pretty big that if we don't give it a maximum height it will just overflow and goes to the bottom of the screen. But if we give it a maximum height it will be somewhere right here, and then if we have too many items we will be able to scroll and then see them. And actually let's give this a very small maximum height to see that. So for example 40, and then when we add some item, we just add 3 items, and then we'll see that we can even scroll with 3 items because we give it a very low maximum height. But we'll do that later. So just keep it like this, and then we want to offset our items because I guess initially they would just come all the way here to the start of the drop down menu, but I don't think they look good. I think I want to push them a little bit from the start. So for that I can use offset. So let's just come here and then right. Offset is going to be dp offset 10.dp for the x and 0.dp for the y. Okay, so we push it by 10 dps from the start. That's what this simply means. And now let's create the items. But before that, before creating these items that we can see here, just create what we see in here, which is the pick date with this little icon that is arrow down. For that we want to go to our box, not inside the drop down menu because that's not an item. This is not an item. These two are items. Okay, we want to go inside our box right here, and then we want to create that. It's going to be a row that will have a text and an icon. For this row we first need a modifier. We need to clip it and give it rounded corner shape of 16.dp. We want to give it a background of material theme.colorscheme.surface variant like this, and then I want to make it clickable since this is how we expand our drop down menu. Want to write is expanded is going to be true when we click on it, and then want to give it some padding horizontally 16.dp and vertically 12.dp, which means just the padding for vertically right here and horizontally right here. Then we want to create the text which shows the date. So text is going to be state.pickdate.format. So remember we created this function, actually not that one, but I don't remember what it was called. I don't remember. Let me just actually check it out. I think it was right here. Oh no, I did not create it. So let's just create it. It's going to be a new file, date formatter, and it's going to be an extension function. So fun zoom datetime dot format date that returns a string in the end. And then it's going to be pretty easy. We want to return a string with a $sign, and that is going to be day of month followed by maybe a slash like this, and then another $sign month value and $sign actually slash $sign year. Maybe that's how I formatted it. I didn't use slashes, I used these. So let me just actually change them like this. That's how we format it. Pretty easy. So right here, date picker dot format date. Now the date is formatted with our extension function. We want to give it a font size of 20.sp. We want then to put a spacer of width 8.dp. So after the text, we want to put a little bit of a spacer and then the icon. So icon that takes an image vector, and here it's going to be icons.rounded.keyboard drop down or arrow down. This one, the string is going to be pick add date. For the date picker itself, now let's create the items in the drop down menu. Since we want to create an item for every date in our list, it's going to be state.dateslist. Maybe that's a wrong name, so it's supposed to be called date list. That's a better name. So date list dot for each in index, because I do need the index and the item itself. Then we can see that we have some horizontal dividers between the items. If index is 0, we want to put a horizontal divider. We then also want to put this horizontal divider at the bottom. So at the very top and the very bottom we'll have a divider, and then also this one will be after every item or below every item. But of course, to do that, I think this one already gives me a row scope or a column scope, which means I don't need to put a column right here or add a column. So the item is simply a text like this. So we can put it as a text. Then it's going to be this current date, which is June datetime dot format date. And then the color is going to be material theme dot color scheme dot on secondary container. That's the color. We want to give it a modifier after that. So modifier to fill the max width, or instead of filling the max width, maybe I can say, since I'm in a row scope, align alignment dot center horizontally. Yeah, I think this would be better. And then make it clickable. So clickable. After clicking on it, I want to, of course, close my drop down menu. Is expanded is going to be false, and then I want to pick a new date. So on item click or on date click, pass in the index. That's it for it. I think I already called that. I can go ahead, run the app. Here it is. The font is a little bit too bold, and I think I can fix it. Let's go. And then the text, we can give it a font weight of just normal. It should be better now. Yes, it is better. We maybe need to do the same here. So like this. And now to see, because now we don't have any items, let's just add some dummy items in our view model. So right here, see, this one is of type June datetime. So let's go below our view model scope right here, and then we can create just a val dummy dates is going to be a list of string at first. So this is a date. We can duplicate this a few more times, and it's just increase the day like this. Maybe just 26 and 27. And I want to convert these dates to a June datetime. To do that, or you know what, let's just do it in a different way. We can write June datetime dot parse and then put the string inside it. I think that's a better way to do it like this, so that we immediately get a list of June datetime. We can just get rid of these and duplicate this again, and then increase the date. Like this. Then let's update the state again. So state is going to be state dot copy date list is going to be my dummy dates. As you can see, now it works. So we can check the app now that we have the dates. Here they are. I do want to actually add even more dates. So let me just add more dates that we actually have such a big list. Right here, I just added a lot more items. Let me see if we can see them. This is not my app. Here it is. Oh, I think this won't work. The app will crash. And I know why. Actually, I need to have a 0 right here. What a mistake. So let me just do that like this. Now it should definitely work. Let's rerun it. Yes, and here are the dates. As you can see, since we give it a maximum height, we can scroll if we have too many dates. But I also think that, let me just bring this here in the list or the item right here. Maybe I want to give this some padding. So let's say, for example, right here, dot padding vertically, let's go for 16.dp. This could make it look better. We'll just give it 16 dp padding. Yeah, I think it looks now a lot better. As you can see, this is how it looks like. And we can't pick a date. The app crashed, and let's see why. And the reason why it crashed is because we did not implement this. I don't know why I didn't do this. Let's just do that right now. However, right here, we want to update our date, and not only our date, but also our items, since we want to get the items in that date. So it's going to be, first of all, getting date val new date is going to be my action dot, actually not here. I'm sorry. It's going to be right here. Action dot new date. This is just the index, probably state dot date list and new date like this. Now we have the new date, and I'm going to launch a coroutine in my view model scope, and I want to update my state now. State dot copy, and then the date, pick a date is going to be my new date, and then the date list. I'm sorry, not the date list, but the spending list is going to be the function get spending list by date, passing my new date, which means I also want to update my items to get them in that specific date. And then let's also update this one. On delete spending is going to be view model scope again dot launch, and I'm going to just to delete that using my spending data source to delete spending, passing the ID, which is action dot spending ID. Then I want to update my list. State is going to be state.copy. Spending list is going to be again get spending list by date, passing my state dot pick date, which means after deleting this item, I also want to update the list in my state with the new list that has no item like that. I also want to get the new dates, because also if I delete an item in a specific date and that date has only one item, which means that date also will be gone. So date list is going to be my spending data source dot get all dates. And then the last thing, the balance as well. So price of that spending I deleted will be added back to the balance, which means I can now say again get balance, which is a function maybe I don't have. So how did I get it? Just like this. Maybe I should have created a function, a helper function for that. Anyway, it's going to be getting the balance from my core repository, but also removing or subtracting all the balance that is spent by the user. I guess I am all okay to run the app and try it again. So right here, we get a bunch of dates. As you can see, when I pick a date, it's actually picked, as you can see. So everything works just as expected. Now I can remove those dummy dates that I added in my view model. I don't need them anymore. Right here, I can do this. I can now move on to create the items. So in my screen again, I'm sorry if this video is too long, but I think we'll try creating the items in this video. To create those items, let's put them in their own function as well. So a composable, let's call it spending list. Like this. We will also need to pass some things to it first. So a modifier, of course, our state of type spending overview state, the padding values that we get. Maybe we don't have to pass the padding values, we can just pass them with the modifier. Next thing is when we delete a spending. In your case, it will also be, let me just go to the original app. In your case, it will be when we click on an item, which is something like this to edit it, and also when we long click on it to delete it. So delete spending. But in my case, not really, because I'm not going to implement clicking on an item and editing it. That's your homework, as I said. In my case, it's going to be only deleting an item. So I will have one lambda function right here, which is on delete spending. And then that takes an int as the index of the item that we want to delete and returns unit. As I said, you also want to add another lambda function on spending click. You need to do that to learn. So let's call it right here, spending list. The state is going to be my state. Of course, I have the modifier as well. Modifier is going to be modifier.padding with the padding values. And then on delete spending is going to be on delete spending. Maybe I already have it. So yeah, I do. I'm just going to do it like this. We can separate these two. Let me just see if everything is all right up here. So on add spending, we actually have that in our floating action button. On balance, we have that in our top bar, and on delete spending, we have that in our item. You need to have an extra one, which is on item click or on spending click. Now let's create the list. It's simply going to be a lazy column. So like this. And definitely this lazy column, first of all, needs a modifier. That's going to be the modifier I passed. We want to also fill the max size with it. Fill max size. Pass content padding. That is going to be padding values. From the top is going to be 16.dp. From the bottom, let's say 50.dp. So I mean, the padding right here is going to be 16.dp, but then from the bottom, if we have so many items, it's going to be 50 or maybe even more, since we have this floating action button. Let's go for like 80, so that if we scroll, the last item will be right above the floating action button, so we can fully see it. So the items are going to be items in index, passing my state dot spending list. Of course, here we get the index and the item, or the spending, rather call it spending. To stay consistent with the names, we want to create a spending item right here, and below it we want to have a spacer of a height that is 16.dp. So let's create this spending item. Composable spending item. This one will take the spending itself, so spending of type spending, and then on delete spending. Maybe I don't have to actually pass the index because I already have it right here. The extra one for you is going to be on spending click, but I don't have that. So I need to pass my spending, that is going to be a spending is spending, and then my on delete spending is going to be on delete spending, the index. So actually, I'm sorry, not like this, but like this. and then a modifier. I want to give it a height, or let's actually define this from within the item. So the first thing we know is that when we long click on it, we have this little drop down item that just makes us delete it. Anyway, we have var is delete showing, for example. That is going to be by remember savable again, and the mutable state of false by default. Everything will be inside a box because we again have a drop down item. So this box won't really need a modifier. We only need it for that drop down item. And then the item itself is going to be inside an elevated card, in which we really don't need this on click. I don't think it's mandatory. Yes, I don't think so. Yeah. So let's just delete everything here. What we need is the shape. So it's going to be a rounded corner shape of 22.dp. And then we need the elevation. There's going to be card defaults dot elevation card dot elevated card elevation. The default elevation for me is going to be 4.dp. So just some shadow or some elevation in my card. And then I want to pass a modifier to it. So modifier, that is going to be modifier, or actually the modifier I passed, but I want to give it now a height of 150.dp and padding horizontally of 16.dp. So padding right here. And then I want to implement a long click on it. So dot combine clickable like this. It's going to be on click since we need both of them in combine click, and then on long click. In my case, I'm not going to do anything on click. Basically, I won't do anything, but for you, you will call the on click item. And simply on long click, I just want to show or hide that drop down item. So like this, that is going to be show, or is delete showing is going to be the opposite of it. So is delete showing. So maybe for my card, I need the content like this. I have a little bit of a problem. This one is supposed to be var like this. And I need to add this experimental annotation. The item itself is just going to be a column of a bunch of texts. Column that needs some modifier. Modifier is going to be modifier fill max, height, and then background is going to be, first of all, color, and it's going to be my spending dot color. Remember the random color that we assigned to our spending in our view model. We want to give it some padding and horizontally of 18 dot, not this, but 18.dp, and vertically 12.dp. And then we want to add some vertical arrangement of arrangement dot space around, so that we can take as much space as we have, but then also have an equal space between the items. So the first one is going to be a text that shows the name of the spending. So this one is spending dot name, and then we want one line. So max lines is going to be 1, and then overview or overflow, I'm sorry, is going to be text overflow dot ellipsis. So if the title is too long, we'll end it with 3 dots. And then the font size is going to be 23.sp, and the color material theme.color scheme.on background. That's the color we want. And I gave my color a high brightness so that always the on background text will be visible on it. So just like this, it will always work just great. Okay, so we need to pass a spacer here that will have a height of 1.dp. The reason why is just we want to have a little extra space between the title and the other items. That's why, since we use space around. And then these three are just going to be text. We can put them in a different composable that is going to be spending info, and it takes a few things. See them, the name of type string, and then value of type string as well. So these are going to be inside the row, and the first one is going to be a text, of course, that takes the name, but not only the name, so a $, name, and then a column like this. And then the max lines is going to be 1 again, overflow, text overflow dot ellipsis. The font weight can be normal, and the font size can be 16.sp. Color can be material theme.color scheme.on background with a little bit transparent, copy 0.8f. We can then copy this for the next one, that is the value. So here, just value. The rest is going to be the same, except that it will be a little bit bigger and a fully non-transparent color like this. It's going to be like this, as you can see. This one is a little bit transparent, but this one is quite visible, but also bigger. Value is of type actually string, and everything else is just great. Now we can call that, and I don't think I need any modifier here. So right here, it's going to be spending info, the name and value. For the first one, the name is going to be price, and the value is going to be $, and then state, or just spending dot price. We can duplicate this a few more times. For the second one, that is going to be kilograms. It's going to be spending dot kilograms, maybe, yeah, kilograms. We don't need any $. And then the last one is going to be the quantity, like this, and we don't need a $. And actually, that looks great. I know we don't have any items and we can't see this, but the last thing is just a drop down item that can make us delete an item, okay? Let's put that inside our box, but outside the card. So right here, it's going to be a drop down menu, and expanded is going to be is delete showing. We can't delete this lambda that I don't know what it is. Anyway, on dismiss request is going to be is spending show, or is delete showing false. The offset is going to be dp offset. The x is going to be 30.dp and 0.dp for the y, which means just again pushing it by 30.dp from the x here from the start. The content is going to be a drop down menu item. It has a text. I don't know why it's not formatting this. So a text, or the text is going to be just a text that says delete spending. And maybe we also need to give it a font family. Font family is going to be my font Montserrat, if that's how it's pronounced. When we click on it, we want to call our on delete spending like this, and before that is delete show and set that to false. And that's it. We created our items and also our list of items. Now we can't really see any items. Let me just try adding some again, some dummy items, just one item so that we can see it or not. Okay, so I created this item. Let me just duplicate this even a few more times so that we can see more of those. So I created these 3 items in this dummy list and added it to my list in the state. And let's rerun the app. And of course, the background or the color is the random color. Here they are. Well, so they look fine, but I need to fill the max width with the item. So right here, dot fill max width, the color. Okay, so this is a little bit weird, but I think maybe I need to fill the max width right here. So the name is a little bit not looking good. I font weight maybe. So let's say font weight. Maybe I want to go for medium. I think it looks better now. Can we show that? Yes, we can show it. When we click on it, it deleted everything, which is totally wrong. Yeah, because we update the items from the repository, not just this dummy list that I have. But anyway, we have our items, we have the colors, we have everything all right. And definitely we can scroll. There's a little bit too much space right here, I guess. We can definitely reduce that. So top, let's go for 8. That it goes up a little bit like that. So I think it's just great. I think it looks really good. I can probably add even more items so that I can see what happens when I scroll. So right here, just paste more. And then that's how it goes. I really don't think I like the space from the top. I think I want to delete that, but it's not coming from here. Okay. Actually, it's in my date picker. Maybe there is too much space there. Padding. Yes, it's this padding. So probably I need to go only for horizontal padding. Yes, now it looks great. And now in my item, I can go for like 16. And I do have elevation, I do have the items, and I think everything looks just great. I think it really looks great. I can go for maybe 20 dps here. Just make it a little bit more padding. And then between the items, I probably also want to add more padding. 16 maybe is not enough, so 20 should be enough. And then right here as well in my item or in my date picker, I want to add a little bit of padding from the bottom of 8.dp. I mean just the bottom. So yeah, I think it looks just great. If you like these tutorials that I make, then imagine my premium course in which you can build a solid industry level app from the ground up using all these skills like clean architecture, as well as building a Ktor backend. In the next video, we will build our spending details screen in which we can create new spendings, and for you also edit spendings because that's your homework. And you can support me by subscribing to this channel down below and leaving a like to this video. See you in the next video. Bye.